Okay, I think I'm finally live. Let me find my own. It's not the one I'm scheduled on. I scheduled a live stream half hour ago. Some of you lovely people are still waiting. So I'm just going to put the link on the live stream I was going to do so that anyone waiting there can hopefully see this live stream. And I ended up setting up a new software to go live because YouTube would not let me do it the way I did it a few days ago. I guess maybe it was a few weeks ago. Feels like a few days. Maybe it was a few weeks. I don't know why they're always changing stuff. Anyways, so I am just on my YouTube putting the link at the other video for anyone who is still waiting over there. Here we go. Okay, I am live. Hello. So if you're checking this out, I presume you are either someone who likes my video. Waiting over there. Oh, here we go. There's a problem. Or you are inspired by the topic. Maybe a little of both. That would be great. Well, here, I'm going to copy this and I'm just going to post it on the other video and I'll jump in. Okay, I'm live over here. Okay. So, today I'm ultimately going to be talking about starting a business because after talking to a lot of you guys, I've realized, and feel free to comment in the chat. I'd love to know who's here and if you have a business or what your business is or why you're inspired by this topic. That would be great. You know, when I say the myth of profit, a lot of people get kind of a bit riled up, right? Because they're like, profit, it's all about profit. And I would say that our current system is very much about profit. And that's what I'm going to talk about in this video is kind of the current state of profit and our society and the vision that I see, which is a lot more of us small business owners having a much bigger role and impact when we understand why profit is the motivator over here and why it doesn't have to be the motivator in a different world where more small businesses, more local communities are actively in control of bigger projects that are really influencing our lives versus that being really large companies that are funded by venture capital and really people who are trying to make billions of dollars. And so we'll kind of break that out in this video. Welcome, Greg. Thank you. That's awesome. Hi, Ricky. I'm glad you're here. I figured it out. Yes. Hi, Dennis from LA. Cool. Well, welcome. I'm in Hawaii, of course. I was about to start traveling when COVID hit. And so I had moved out of my place. So I've been staying in some Airbnbs in Hawaii. And this one is on the west side. So I just have this awesome view of the west side of Hawaii. I had to shine a light in my face so that you guys can see the good view, but I figured it's worth it. Yeah. So I'm here for another week and then I won't have this view anymore. So I figured I needed to show it off. west side is the hot side. So this side is like deserty, not all rainy like other side of the island. They're all so different. But yeah, so I think a lot of people, I'm going to kind of like mixed into this conversation of the myth of profit, talk about a lot of questions that I also get asked from people who are getting started with businesses. And, one of those is often the getting investment question, right? And so those companies that invest, they have a very specific name, venture capital companies. And those companies, what a lot of people don't realize is that they aren't looking for good ideas, right? They're not looking for good ideas. They're not even looking for good businesses necessarily. That's not the key criteria that they're looking for. Of course, that's part of it, but that I would say comes in third place for what these venture capital companies are really looking for when they decide to invest in a business. What they're looking for is, number one, a business that can make billions of dollars. Key, billions of dollars, because that's all they care about, because they've pulled it off before and they'll pull it off again. And so that's their focus. Their second focus is a good team, because they know that good ideas don't matter, unfortunately. So a lot of business owners come to me with great ideas, and I remember I started out with great ideas too. And then it's really getting that ideas don't make money, people do, people that bring the idea to life. So when it comes to these venture capital companies, I'm kind of giving you some backstory here, and then we'll get into the myth of profit and what I mean by that. But maybe you're already kind of making that connection, right? Because these venture capital companies, which is kind of if you want a business that's going to go public, which means it's publicly traded on the stock market. So these are our tech businesses. You'll hear a lot about like the tech companies, and that being like the big industry now. That's because venture capital companies can invest in these tech companies and they can make billions of dollars. Like, that's why, right? And so that influences our stock market as well, right? But the stock market isn't making that money. These venture capital companies are putting money into the startups when they're small, when they're doing their fundraising. And then when the company goes live on the stock market, which means everyone can buy stock, that's when they make their money, right? Because it went from start to, or whatever phase they buy in at. There's a lot more technical terminology in this that I'm kind of breezing over to simplify it. But then they go public, and that's when people make their big money, the venture capital companies. So they don't even necessarily care about a great idea. Like, that's just not what they're looking for, because that's their end goal, is to make money. And so what they care about is, can we make billions? Does enough people need this? And do we have a team that can bring it to life? So they don't even really care about the idea, because so often, and this applies to anyone, as small businesses, bigger businesses, right? A good idea doesn't make money. And so that's why, like, the idea is third, because really it's about what problem are we helping with or solving, right? You've probably heard those common words. What problem are we solving? And so that's the key criteria. So I'd love to hear like what your guys's businesses are or going to be if you're considering starting one. So that's kind of like the top, like, gold star of investment, right? Like these venture capital companies, this big money servicing tons of people. And, a lot of good ideas are actually missed in that process, right? Like we're missing out on so many good ideas because they don't care about that. They don't even necessarily care about a good problem. If it doesn't show up to them with the team and everything, they basically don't care. That's like the general venture capital industry. So when I say the myth of profit, it's because like when we're starting small businesses, we don't have to have a ton of profit. We have to pay ourselves. And if you're providing value and solving a problem, then all we need to do is pay ourselves, right? So like you can still get rich is my point. Like you don't have to be like, but I want to like have some money, right? Well, even a nonprofit, if you have an idea to make a difference in the world and you do something that makes a difference, then as the nonprofit founder leading a company that's solving a big problem, you would still make a lot of money. I mean, nonprofit CEOs, founders make millions of dollars. And maybe you don't need millions a year, but my point is you can get what you need. You can get the money you're looking for when you provide value. Profit means that there's been an excess, right? Above what you need, above what all the people you hire need, above whatever your costs of operation are. That's what profit is, right? It's like extra. And so with our publicly traded companies in the system that's currently popular, right, on the stock market, that extra then goes out sort of to in the form of dividends, sort of, because that doesn't even really happen. It's really buying and selling and people gambling off the prices of stocks, which is just no value provided. Pixie, great question. Would you say the same for a clothing line? As I think you mean as far as like that you don't need profit. If so, you can go ahead and elaborate. But yeah, no, like no business really, right? Because if you think about a business or a movement or a nonprofit, any of them, right? Like if you start with the mission, and that could be paying yourself, right? Like a lot of my small business owners, the mission is to pay ourselves through the company. Maybe we just want to do our skill through a business. Great. In all of, or you have a big mission, right? That you want to take into the world, that you see something you want that should be different, that you're passionate about. And so it's really a mission-driven thing. In either case, you only need to bring into the business enough money to achieve the mission, to pay you, to pay the people who work for you. I'm definitely not on like a money is scarce thing at all. And I'll talk a little bit more about that if people have some like let me know. It would be great to know if so it sounds like you're clothing, either a designer or an actual boutique or you're creating a clothing line. The clothing industry, I have a big passion for the clothing industry. I think we need to really be bringing that industry into the US. And making it far more sustainable. I think people are really willing to pay a premium for that. And it's actually because of all the shipping costs and other costs, it's not even necessarily as more expensive as people think it is. So yeah, this applies to every type of business, every movement, right? Like if we're first focused on the mission, the purpose of why we're doing this, whether that's just to work for yourself through the business or it's because you have some big mission, some big problem that you want to solve, or thing that you see that the world, we typically start out with our product, with our idea. And then as we move down the path of a business, we realize that we actually need to focus more on the problem that our thing solves and allow our thing to change and develop. Now, a clothing line, I mean, certainly it might work the same way depending on where you're at in that that scheme of the, you know, designer versus a boutique versus an actual creator. But the point is that, you know, there's so much in our society that has focused on this idea of like profit. Of course, all of this is like a big picture conversation, you know, that like having extra, we don't actually need extra after solving the mission that the business is there to solve. You know, like there's no need for there to be extra. We don't need extra. And so I really see a big shift in as small business owners, as so many people like us want to create things in the world and are creating things and have successful businesses and then are going on to the next business and the next business. And then maybe getting more into things that you're passionate about or things that you see that should be different and that you know you can help out with. It's just the profit is secondary. Obviously, you don't want to be in a loss, but we don't need this profit. That conversation of profit, we've got to have profit, we've got to have more. That's from the people at the very top who are investing incredible sums of money and getting returns for doing very, very little. And I think we could all possibly agree that the world would be a bit of a different place if people who are more focused on the thing that we're doing and doing it well, and certainly having plenty of money, being more equal with the people who are currently pushing that message because it fits the current system as it's set up. And I'm not one of these people that think that there's a huge conspiracy. I think that things kind of just developed over time, you know, and as more and more people step up and have been working on a business, if you've been working on a business, again, I'd love to hear what your business is. I'd love to hear what you think about this, if you've heard anything like this before, or if you've thought about stuff like this before, or if you've really kind of felt like we do need profit. Like profit is super important. We can't have success without profit, because I feel like that's what I see people thinking is the case, right? That like we need to have extra profit and we need to have way excess. So, you know, it's just not the case. We need our income to solve a mission or to fulfill your purpose if you work through your business, whatever the income that you need, right? We need the income, we need to cover our expenses, and we need to be sure that we're paying ourselves whatever it is that we need to be paid. And that can be a high amount, right? If you're providing a lot of value, like I said, even in a nonprofit, a leader, a high executive in the nonprofit is going to take home a large portion of money. And nonprofits are another area that I think are really underutilized, because nonprofits do not have to be these broke things. In fact, so I see us really on a precipice right now of a lot of change, because the internet, even though when we're going about our day-to-day lives, it can feel like, well, you know, like things, it is how it is right now. But actually, if we really look at history, things have been changing rapidly. And the internet has not been around that long. I know, like, it's easy to feel like, well, the internet is here and like, this is how it is, you know, but really things have been changing over the past 10, 15 years, and they're going to continue changing. And, you know, I was just having a conversation with someone who was doing a racial healing workshop, and she was bringing up how in the 60s she had seen, the last time there was like this type of revolution, and people got into it, but then at the end of the day, things went back to kind of quote unquote a normal, a progressing slowly normal. But we were talking about, well, the difference now is that it's not just coming through a TV, right? It's coming through the internet, and we're able to do something about it and connect to people, like we're able to actually talk back to the TV versus it just being through the TV. So, so I think that when that comes to business as well, that we have a huge opportunity for so much when it comes to our businesses and with what the mission of the business is. When it's about money, I've just found that things work so much easier when it's not really about the money. DK says, right, you want to pay yourself while doing the work you love. Exactly. There's that conundrum, right? Like, because we're doing something we love to do, but you need to make money. But a lesson that I have definitely learned is that the more I don't really care about the money, the more it all works out. And I'm not saying be ignorant to your money. I'm a finance coach, right? So I'm very, I firmly believe that getting money organized and knowing the money and knowing the finance is critical, right? Because otherwise you won't know if you have the income minus the expenses to get to profit, or to know that you're going to break even, which is all you actually need after paying yourself. Then that's all you need. And you need to know it. If you don't know it, then your brain is going to be inclined to go with whatever you were thinking before. So let's say money had been a struggle, you're starting a business, your brain is going to be inclined to go back to struggle if you aren't really clear on where you're at and what's happening. So it's always better to know the finances regardless of where you're at. It just shifts something. It changes something. Ricky, I see that what you're saying, although my desire is not only to help out myself in my business, my desire is to help others as well. Exactly. And the more we focus on that, helping people, fulfilling a need, it really becomes easier to make the money, I've found. So, yeah, so that was all I was thinking about today. I had gotten myself on Facebook and commented on something that had triggered this idea, because it's just so prevalent that people think, profit is so important. And I don't think many people realize where it's coming from, right? Like those big investors. And so if you want to get investors in a business, which is, so I'm actually doing a challenge, a free challenge about starting a business. And what I'm going to be talking about I'm going to do live streams for that challenge, and it's going to be very interactive. But I'm definitely going to be talking a little bit more in depth about the different types of businesses and understanding how to use them. Because you don't want to like arbitrarily be like, I want an investor for this, or I want this, like, and then what type of business? There really aren't that many options, right? We have sole proprietor, LLC, partnership, corporation, nonprofit. That's it. There's 5 businesses. Those are the legal types. Then we have tax types. And I'll be talking about all that through this challenge. So you may have already learned a lot about that on my channel. But this challenge is just going to be focused on starting a business, whether that's, like I said, a business where you're just working in your business. You want to use your skill to work in a business. So like a consulting track, which certainly is the simpler track, versus like creating a movement, doing something really big that's really bigger than you. and that you need a lot of people for. And we'll be talking about the different structures and how to actually use that in a strategy. So I'll be covering starting a business from the strategic standpoint of all these technical sides, as well as the strategy side, and actually figuring out what you need to do to get going, right? Because it can seem pretty overwhelming, but I think at the core is us just not really understanding how we use these legal businesses to do something. So that's what we'll be covering in this challenge. My assistant hasn't finished I'm going to have a little page so you can get it emailed to you, and we'll be putting the live streams, if you don't make it live, in a platform that you can log into for free. If you already have my business spreadsheet template, then you already have access, but you'll still need to just sign up so that this course gets added under your account. Greg, my wife and I started an entertainment business, Starry Night Event Promotions Inc. Super cool. Kinder hurting now since the pandemic. However, we will prevail. So this is good information. Thanks, Greg, I think it was. Cool. Yeah. The pandemic, talking about starting a business right now is pretty big, but there's also so many people that have time, right? Like to actually start something different right now, or to be doing something different right now. The other thing I'm going to be talking about in this challenge is about how to actually look at the online, because creating a strategy for getting started, like a business plan, but it's definitely not going to seem like a traditional business plan, right? Because we are going to focus on a few of those concepts that are in a business plan, but just a few, because you're only one person. So you're not going to make this huge business plan. It's just not necessary. It's not how it even works. It won't even necessarily help you move forward. And that's what the focus is, right? Like, how do you use these things and move forward? And so if right now, there's still a lot of opportunity because people need things, right? Things aren't happening. Like, where's the sanitary delivery service? Like, where is that? Because I would be using it, So I just see so much opportunity right now, and it's hard if we're, in fear, obviously, and it's a fearful situation, but we're most likely gonna be okay. We're in a pretty good situation if you think about it. If you think about the nature of this and everything like that. So yeah, let me I don't have that link, but it will be here, or you'll see live streams from me if you subscribe and select to be notified. You'll see more about that because I'll be live streaming those trainings. Spreadsheets. So I have a lot of spreadsheets. I have a free one called the Business Spreadsheet Template. Greg is asking about the spreadsheet. So there's one called the Business Spreadsheet Template, which is accounting, quarterly taxes, and it allows you to come up with your end-of-year tax totals for Schedule C, self-employed, sole proprietor. That link I will give you right now. The other spreadsheet templates are all part of courses that are on my website, which I'll give you the link to that right now too. So you can get access to the partnership spreadsheet under the tracking basis course. You can get access to the business types comparison spreadsheet under the choosing the best type of business to form course, and you'll see it says all of that here. Also, I am going to be adding, so courses is where you can find different templates I've done other than the business spreadsheet template. And because people really want to buy the spreadsheets without the courses, I've been debating adding a spreadsheet tab on my website. So you now have my website. It's bizschool.coach or amandarussell.mba. And I'm probably going to start selling the spreadsheet separate. It's hard for me to do, I'll be honest, because I feel like people need the course more than the spreadsheet. I tell you the answers in the course, and I know most people don't know a lot of those answers, so I feel really inclined to say you're buying the spreadsheet and get the course, but I'm still probably doing it. Now that I've announced it here on YouTube with you guys, I guess I'm gonna do it. So you will see that. If you just go to my website, you'll see a tab called Spreadsheets once my assistant sets it up. But you can get access to any of the spreadsheets in the course on that courses page. So check that out as well. Okay, that's all, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. It was nice to see you here, and I'd love to hear more about your business and what you're doing. I'd love to see you over the next week when I'm doing this little challenge about starting your business and talking about strategy, the technicalities, the accounting, taxes, legality, all of it, as well as just actually, doing it and moving forward, having a strategy, a plan that works to move forward. Okay, well, that's all. Again, have a great day. If you're new here, I don't know if new people find live streams, but consider subscribing since I'm accustomed to saying that. And otherwise, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for your comments. Nice to see you, Greg and Ricky and Pixie, Dennis. Yeah, okay. Bye, guys.